All right, this was good. Good enough time for anybody who's coming on. I'm going to, let's make an automation that takes advantage of Python to automate screenshots. One of the best ways to do that is with a Python package called Selenium. And again, if you're new to it, go see my intro video, which will set you up to this point where you'll be able to have Python on your machine and an IDE. And today we're going to be talking about screenshotting, getting evidence, which is what internal auditors love to do. And Selenium is a great package to do that. You can find it here. I put it in the chat. The link is also in the description. So Selenium automates browsers. That's it. What you do with that power is up to you. Primarily, it's used for testing. So when people are testing out websites, they have an automation. So there's automated websites to make sure everything works. But what's great too is like on the second here, boring web-based administration tasks can and should be automated. And that also means internal audit evidence selection and collection. So if you saw my 1-minute Python video, which is also, I think, in the description, if not, I'll put it in later, we got to this point. So what are we doing here? So we're using Selenium, just as we said. We're using a package or module called Selenium. And we are calling from it the WebDriver. So from the whole Selenium package, we're using WebDriver to control our browser. In fact, what happens is we actually create a local browser. And it's controlled completely by the program itself, by our Python and the Selenium package. So let's import this. So we could do this whole thing, but what the hell? Let's just do line by line so we can see what's going on. So again, whenever we have modules, we want to import the modules. So let's do that right now. All right, so now we have Selenium. So if I do WebDriver dot, I've got all these things I can do. And what's cool about Selenium is you can pick a lot of different types of drivers. You can work with Edge, you can work with Firefox. I'm going to work with Chrome today. Definitely talk to your IT or get your IT of what they like to use. Some of the I guess web-based applications like Blackline or internally developed ones have certain browsers that they like to use, or the IT department has basically said use this browser because we can track it or do whatever we want. But in this case, we're going to do a Chrome. But as you can see, there's a lot of other things you could do with the web browser, just going through, which is pretty cool, honestly. All right. But in this case, what we want to do is, just as in any other Python thing, we want to create an object. And in this case, we want to create what we're going to call a driver. You could also call it browser. You could call it basically anything you want. And what we're going to do is we're going to call WebDriver.Chrome. And again, it's a function, so you're going to want to do the double things. So let's run this. And I think it's going to pop up on my other screen, but let's see what happens. Okay, yeah. All right. So there, that popped up. We have a browser. We've created a local browser. And you can see that it says Chrome is being controlled automatically by software, automated test software. That's just to let you know that this screen has been taken automatically. There are ways to get rid of that if you want for some reason. That's on you at this point. I guess we could, let's see what happens if we click it. All right, nothing really. All right, so we have basically, oh, it came back. We have basically a URL. Let's see what happens. So what we could do is, now that we have a driver, right? We have a driver object, and we can do any function to it. So let's see what the functions. Oh, look at all these things we can do. Amazing. So all right, so we want to deal with this. So we have a driver. Let's just get someplace. Let's get to a URL that we like to do. And in this one, I like to use Finance Yahoo because we're going to do a couple of things. So let's run that. Let's see what happens. Okay, so the web browser actually was nice to us. Okay, so here we have, I'm going to move this over a little bit and give us a little more room. All right, so we have Yahoo Finance. Yay, Yahoo Finance is good because there's some things we can do, plus it's got some selection. So how do you take a screenshot? Well, what's really cool is there's actually built-in screenshotting functions within the driver itself. So I don't know why this has gotten here yet, but whatever. All right, it's still loading, really? Oh, it's still loading. So one thing about Selenium, it basically, let me get rid of this. It basically will wait until the page is loaded, which is nice. So now you can see that it executed, and we have the next line for input that we can do. All right, so we talked about getting a driver screenshot. I'm going to do this over here again, but the pieces are, let me move this out of the way, is we get a driver, then we get underscore screenshot as file. There's a lot of things we could do. We could do as PNG. It plays better with a PNG, honestly. So you get screenshot as file, our users PNG, and then we give it where we're going to go here. So if we've got this, we've got an output, so we can see it's empty right now. So what happens when we run this? Let's run it right now. And we ran it, and we can see that we have our screenshot. So I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to push this, minimize this. So we can see that we now have the screenshot that we need. So, and you can see that it basically took what was visible. Okay, there is a lot more portion of this, but the screenshot did take what was visible. So hooray, that's good to go. All right, I'm going to close that out, and there we go. All right, so so that was good. Let me open up that browser again. So now we have the ability to create a driver to get into and control a web-based application. We can go to a URL. If your web base has a URL, you can use this. You can also do local stuff or wherever you're hosting this web-based application. It doesn't even have to be web-based. I've seen internally created web-based applications and created web-based applications that you can control using this as well. As long as it uses a browser to interact with, you can control it. So in this case, okay, we have a screenshot. But let's say we didn't want to screenshot this. Let's say we wanted to go IBM, right? And we go IBM, and Yahoo Finance goes very quickly. And let's say we actually wanted to take a picture of this instead. All right, so how do we do that with Selenium? Well, Selenium's pretty cool because we can actually, once I said, control the browser, and we can control anything we want. There's a couple of ways we could do this. And I'm going to show you the most important thing about Selenium is working with elements. Okay? Now, let's talk about elements. So a browser, as you can see, is made up of elements. This is an element, this is an element, there's all elements all over the place. So if I click in here, this clicked in little area here, this is an element. All right, so how do we look at these elements? How do I know what this is? How do we find this? Well, in this case, you right click, right? And it sees all this, blah, blah, blah. Then right here at the end is inspect. Now, when I click this, a panel on the right-hand side is going to open up, and it's going to show the code, the the code, the HTML code behind all this. So if I do inspect, we can see now that the code for this is shown. I'm going to open this up a little bit so that it's nice. Okay. And I'm going to click out of that because it's annoying me. All right, so all of this is basically, this is the code for everything we see on the website. Okay, so in order to tell Selenium what we want to do, we have to work with the elements. So what's cool about, and you can see it's called elements right up here. We basically are done. So you could, what's cool is look over here, when you look over here and you press on these things, you can see that it selects of what you're looking at. Okay, so that's the body, so that's the whole body. So you can go through here and do all the bodies and everything like this. And what's cool about this as well is you could click on the individual element inspect and then do inspect there. And I'm going to do it again. Let's see, inspect. There it is. Okay, it took a little bit, but it came around. So this box right here is this input. You can see that there's class and everything like that. And you can see that as HTML, it tells you the input, the type, the class, all these things. And then there's an ID. So one of the ways you can do what you can do in Selenium is basically use these IDs to use these IDs or pieces to select a select the element ID so that you can control it. So in this case, what we want is this. So in here, and I'm going to go off ID because it's the easiest one. So you can see I'm going to double click this ID and hopefully it's going to pop up eventually. Yeah, there it is. So you can see the ID is equal to Y bar dash SBQ. So I'm actually going to control copy that. So I've now copied that over. So I'm going to go back to Selenium over here. I'm going to do driver. So we call the driver element. And then I want to do find element. And you could find element or elements, but in this case we're going to do find element. And we could do by equals, because once again Python will tell you what you're bringing up here as you go through. So by equals ID, and then the value is equal to that. Okay. So that I'm going to push that. So that tells us what that Selenium session was, the element. So that's the element ID behind it. Not so much with that. What we want to do is take that element and make it its own object. Okay. So we're going to do, let's call it ticker input. So we're going to take this is the ticker input. We're going to driver dot find element by equals by its ID, right? And then the value is going to equal there. Now we have a new variable, ticker input, and we are going to now be able to control this by using this new object. So now that we have control of that element in a new object called ticker input, and then if we do a dot, we have all these things that we can do. We could click it, we could find element within it, we could do a screenshot of this element, and so in this case what we want to do is we want to send keys. We want to actually type in IBM. So if we're going to send keys, what are we going to do? We're going to send IBM to this. Okay. So if I push that enter right there, oh, IBM. All right. So that's a good one. So what we're going to do is I'm going to copy that code over here, and we're going to call it search for ticker. Now we'll do that, and then we'll do this. So now that we've done that, but what does that give us? Now manually we'd have to click this. Well, it's the same thing. We just have to go over by the ID. So in this case, we'd go, let's find this ticker. what's this? We're going to inspect again. We're going to right click. We'll inspect. We'll give it a little bit of time to go through. Okay. That jumped around a lot. Let's do inspect again just to make sure we're at the right place here. Okay, then we have something right here. So in this case, we don't have an ID, but we do have a class. So there's a few things we could use. We could do a class. So we're going to go like this. I'm going to double click it, let it up, and we're going to do control copy again. Okay. Click back in here, and we're going to do, we'll call this one ticker search. So this is going to be the ticker search object, and we're going to do driver again, dot find element, and this time I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm going to call, well actually, by is equal to class, and we're going to do value is equal to and enter. Let's see what happens. Okay, we didn't get the right one here, so that didn't quite work. So let's see what the exception was here. Value return invalid locator. So I used the wrong type of locator. So in this case, I'm going to look at this again, and let's call it class like that, and we'll do enter, and we get it again. So can't do that. And then what we're going to do instead is we're going to use another way to find elements. So in this case, we're going to use what's called the by thing. And I'm going to just do this, and we're going to put this in here, and we're going to do from selenium.webdriver.com and by import by. So this is going to help us identify what class or what to use. So if I do this, instead of writing this by class, I could do by dot, and I put, oh, you know what? I've got to import it first. So if I go like this, I'm going to go boom. Now we have that in there, so I'm going to go right here, up, and then we go to by dot class name, and I'm going to do value equals that. So let's see if that works. Hopefully I got the right class here. Boom, we were able to get the correct ID. So this is good now. So now I have that button. I've captured that little button there, right? And now we have a new variable. We have the ticker search. We have the input box, and then we have the ticker search. Now, what we have to do is, normally we'd have to click on this. So what do? We go ticker search dot. We can do click. And if we push this, what'll happen is the web page goes over to IBM. So let's put this in here. So now we have the clicker search. All right. So now that we're on our new page here, right? So we're going to go at this point, get ticker screenshot. Go put that there. Now we've got these ads here, which are really annoying. So I'm going to close this here. So we don't want to see these ads in our little screenshot. We want to scroll down, basically. So once again, as with anything, and you can always scroll or move down. So if I hit my page down button, all right, that gives me a good one. Let's say we want to do that. How do we send key? You can control your keyboard. You could, like you were sitting at a keyboard here, and that's the way it's called send keys. All right. Now it's important to, when you're sending keys, you have to import the keys from the Selenium module. So I'm going to add another one here. I'm going to do from Selenium common keys and run. So it's interesting when you have when you bring in Selenium or other packages, you could bring in pieces of the package because the package might often be too large to use. So let's see here. So let's say we wanted to bring in seeds. So we're all the way up at the top. And let's say we wanted to page down, do one page down. What you would do is we have to basically, I don't think it works off the driver. So let's do send keys. Yeah, there's no send keys function in this. You have to do with an element. But what you can do is you can just select the body of the element in question. So if I do inspect again here, anywhere, inspect, I could pick anything here, and then you can see that the body, which is the entire page itself in the HTML4, has an ID. It's called atomic. So let's just control that. I'm going to get rid of that, and so let's see how this works. Let's do. Oh yeah, so we're going to do body. We're going to call it body, and we're going to do driver dot find element, and we're going to do it by dot ID, and then the value is going to be atomic because that's what it said. And let's see if that works. Yep, so now we have a body. So now we can control the body. So let's do body and do send keys. Yes, send keys works on an element. And for send keys, what do we want to send? We want to send keys, and then we want to press page down. And let's see if that works. Yes, so that definitely worked. Let's go back to our history. We can actually grab these two right there. And then what we could do is we could take the driver get screenshot, same thing, and put this down right here. And now we have a screenshot. Driver get screenshot as file again. Now we could actually call this number 2. And let's run that line. And if we look into our things up, we can see our screenshot too. And so we have a screenshot, yay, of the exact place that we could see. All right, that's good for now. I'm gonna hang up for a little bit. I might hang out a little later too.